Hey guys, this is Holland with the Wolverine.com, and we're going to talk about 5 things we learned about Michigan recruiting in the month of November. But before we dive into that, I want to invite you guys to subscribe to the Wolverine.com right now, just $10 until next year. That's $10 until August of 2023. Make sure to subscribe now for all your latest recruiting scoop, team information, basketball recruiting, and you get to be part of a great message board community over at the Fort right now for just $10 until next football season. All right, guys, like I said, we're going to dive into 5 things we learned in the month of November. It was busy for Michigan recruiting, and Michigan went on a run of commits, especially in Ohio. 4 lands in Ohio in 4 days. So it was a crazy weekend. It also happened to be the same weekend that Michigan took down Ohio State for the second consecutive season. So the first thing we learned is Michigan has rebuilt the bridge to Ohio. Over the last couple of cycles, Michigan has not recruited well in enemy territory. In fact, the only Ohio recruit that Michigan has landed during my time on the Michigan beat is Rod Moore, who was a 3-star defensive back. Obviously has turned out well for Michigan, Moore exceeding his ranking. 4 commits here, 3 in the 2023 class, and 3-star athlete Jason Hewlett, 3-star linebacker Breon Ishmael, and 3-star cornerback Cameron Calhoun. Now, all 3 of these prospects, 3 stars, but Calhoun, very high floor, technical corner. Hewlett can play multiple positions on the defensive side of the ball as a prospect on the rise. And Breon Ishmael, a little more of a project, but another high ceiling take. But I think taking guys that are a little under the radar in Ohio can create some movement for next cycle to land top tier guys. Michigan doesn't just have to mine the state. They can get elite level guys. And it showed with the same weekend, landing on 300 2024 offensive lineman Luke Hamilton, had several other Big Ten offers. Michigan was able to seal the deal there, and they're off to a great start in 2024. 2 of the 3 early commits are on 300 prospects in Hamilton and linebacker Mason Curtis out of the Nashville area. So 4 commits, 4 days out of Ohio. The second thing we learned is Nathan Efobi finally shut it down. He committed to Michigan in the month of November on 300 offensive linemen out of Georgia. Efobi was one of Michigan's top remaining overall targets, a priority on the offensive line board. The Wolverines were able to finally seal the deal there. Michigan had been trending for a couple of months. Sharon Moore did a terrific job of building a relationship with him. The Wolverines got him on campus early in the fall, made a big impression on an unofficial visit. He's set to come back for a December official visit and plans to sign early with the Wolverines in Efobi. Michigan is getting a really athletic interior offensive line prospect that can also kick out to right tackle. He's long. He has great feet. Quickness, he's still raw from a technical perspective, but his ceiling is sky high. The third thing we learned is Michigan lost a commit. Collins Acheampong, Michigan's formerly highest rated commit per on 3, made a surprise switch and moved over to Miami. So Acheampong switched his commitment from Michigan to Miami. Not great for the Wolverines. I think if you want to look at it in a positive light, Acheampong only has about 5 or 6 football games under his belt. He is a native of Ghana. He moved to California. He played as a sophomore, then his team shut down because of COVID. He played a couple of games this year as a senior, but suffered an injury. So he has limited football experience. His ceiling is amazing. I love Acheampong as a prospect. I do consider it a tough loss, but he wasn't a guy that was expected to come in and make an immediate impact despite being the highest ranked guy per on 3. But still a tough loss for Michigan and one that could maybe even impact Eno Etta, Michigan's other on 300 edge commit. Acheampong and Etta are very, very close friends. Miami's still in contact with Etta. Acheampong's going to recruit him to South Florida. So that's going to be a situation to monitor. I still feel good about Michigan keeping Eno Etta on board, but obviously Acheampong off to play for the Hurricanes. I think NIL was obviously a factor there. He had good relationships with that coaching staff, and they never stopped pushing, and it was just an unfortunate loss for Michigan, so we'll see where they go from here to fill that spot. The fourth thing we learned is Florida commit Aaron Gates made a surprise visit in November. So Aaron Gates, four-star defensive back from the state of Georgia, has been committed to Florida for more than a year, but it always seems like he's about to flip to Michigan, right? He made an unofficial visit for the spring game, and many expected him to flip. He did not. He returned for an official visit in the summer. It looked like he was going to flip to Michigan. He did not. He returned for another unofficial visit for the game against Illinois in November. It looked like he was going to flip. Has not yet, but we're still a few weeks out till signing day. I do think the Wolverines are still in a position to flip him. I think the staff has done everything possible. He has a relationship with lead recruiter Steve Clinkscale dating back to Clinkscale's time at Kentucky. Michigan defensive coordinator Jesse Minter has been heavily involved in this recruitment. Visited him at his high school on a couple of different occasions. I do think that Michigan has really impressed Gates' mother with the academic presentation. She works in education, so that's something that's really impressing the family overall. Like I said, there's nothing else Michigan can really do here. I think it's up to Gates. He's been committed so long to the Gators that I think it's up to him to just really convince himself to finally make the flip. So we'll see if the Wolverines can get that done in December after hosting him for yet another visit in November. The last thing we learned is Michigan is trending for a pair of former Wisconsin commits. Obviously, Wisconsin parting ways with head coach Paul Chryst, no longer there, and that left the door open for the Wolverines to make a move with a pair of three-star defensive linemen in Jamel Howard and Roderick Pierce, both no longer committed to the Badgers. So starting off with Roderick Pierce, who goes by Trey Pierce, terrific prospect. I think he's very, very undervalued. He's not a tall guy. He's kind of 6'2.5", has decent length despite being shorter, but extremely powerful, quick off the snap, consistently getting pressure on the quarterback, both as an interior defensive lineman and off the edge. Michigan is making him a top priority as a 3 technique, and right now it looks like the Wolverines have the edge over Illinois and Texas. Jamel Howard being a 300-pounder, now the top guy as a nose. Michigan trending there. It looks like they have the lead over Illinois. Both Howard and Pierce did make visits in November. Pierce made an official visit. Howard made an unofficial visit. Howard slated to return for his official visit this month. Pierce looking to make an unofficial visit this month. So both are visiting frequently, and I do think Illinois is probably the top competition for both of these prospects, but obviously Michigan, the superior program. They've impressed on visit, both looking to make a decision this month, potentially during the early signing period or before. No set dates yet. Those are the 5 things we learned about Michigan recruiting in November. For more Michigan recruiting intel, make sure to sign up for the Wolverine.com right now. Just $10 until next football season. Also, if you're not a subscriber to our YouTube page, make sure to subscribe. That's completely free. And leave us a like. We will see you again next month.